So sometimes in chess, a new move by a top level grandmaster is played, and we call that move a novelty. Sometimes we play new moves, and we call that a blunder. However, I'm going to need your guys' help today deciding on whether on move 7 of this game, between these two grandmasters, was it a blunder or was it a novelty? So everybody put their thinking shades on because it's quite fascinating and I'm not all too sure. And we're going to look at the game. It's a nice game between David Navarro with the black pieces and Darwin Lalo with the white pieces. Good man Darwin. You know that science guy? Same guy, let me tell you. He played chess. Just kidding. This was in 2009. This was the World Cup. We get d4, knight f6, c4. Okay, queen's gambit. Normal. e6. Are we going to get an Imzo? Well, if you've been watching my videos, you know that we've been discussing the Blumenfeld counter gambit. Kind of like an open banco. I've already looked at the similarities, or we have discussed the similarities between the two and the differences. So we're mostly just going to get into this game. Bishop to g5. So I've been looking at this, and bishop to g5 is the quote-unquote refutation. I'm not a big fan of that word. I'm a king's gambit guy. People are like, oh, it's a bad opening, it's refuted. I'm like, you know how many people I've taken down with the king's gambit? Just stop. Just stop. But bishop to g5 is the best move. It does pin the knight to the queen. And what do? So there's many moves here. You can either take in Benoni fashion. You can go h6, pose some questions to the bishop. You can do many stuff. You can give a check if you want. That's also a line. But I stumbled across the move b4, and I quite like this move because it's similar to a pawn structure I play against the ready, and it stops the queenside knight from going to a3 and c3, and it locks up the queenside a little bit. Not to say that it'll be locked up for the rest of the game. It's just temporary right now. It's a comfortable pawn structure. Knight bd2, that's what we get in this game, and bishop to e7. So far this is all theory. Now I have other games we're going to look at that goes bishop takes f6, which is the main move. However, in this game, white, a grandmaster, a 2550, plays the move pawn e4. And this is the first time this move has ever been played. And at first glance, it looks like a horrible move. It looks like a blunder. But as you could see by the bar, it's not. So did he know this? Did he delve into it? Was this his home preparation? Why does this move look like a blunder? Well, because of the tactic knight takes d5. Have you solved these types on chess.com where the knight backwards guards the bishop? Right, so if they take the knight, you win the bishop. And if they take the bishop, you get backwards capture with the knight and you win a pawn. So black's up a pawn. Why is the bar still in white's favor? Well, apparently in this position, after c takes d5, bishop takes g5, white is just better. Black is up a pawn, but white is just better because his bishops are just kind of dumb. And you're going to get e5, d6. You're going to get the clamps. And you're going to have to deal with the clamps. So David Navarro was faced with this e4 move. And what did he do? And by the way, the best move is knight takes d5. But the bar still favors white. So e4 is actually not a mistake. This is what's crazy. It's like playing into a hand and you're able to. It's like your opponent wants you to do something, you do it, and you're still better. So it's quite fascinating. So David Navarro takes with the pawn, which doesn't make all too much sense to me. White should recapture with the pawn, but he goes e5. And this justified David Navarro's plan to go knight to g4. You see, right? Because if bishop takes, queen takes, you're aiming in on e5. It's so common when you get this e5, knight g4 stuff. So many queen's pawn openings, so many games I can reference, and hopefully you could too, right? Knight g4 is good stuff. Bishop f4, all right, that's a little dubious. Doesn't look like it's a position where you're supposed to move backwards. And then d6 solidifying everything. We got takes, 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 takes. This is the middle game. It's only move 12. By the way, at the end of this video, we're going to be doing an endgame puzzle. A knight endgame puzzle. So stick around if you want to see a knight endgame puzzle. All right, question. Who would you rather play here? I had this debate. Who would you rather play? Who do you think is better? The argument for white being better is that you have a passed pawn. You're right, you have a passed pawn. You're going to park the knight on c4, and you're just going to push that pawn. The argument for black being better is that his pieces are arguably more active. He's going to castle quicker, give a check, and he has some open lanes. Keep in mind, a big part of it is this pawn structure. Do you like it? Do you not? You have some space, but you also have a hole on c4. These are almost hanging pawns, so the closer it is to an endgame, the harder it's going to be to make that look like a strength. The closer it is to an endgame, the more of a weakness it's going to be. So would you rather be white or black in this position? There's no wrong answers, because the bar is relatively equal. We get castles by black, knight c4. Kind of easier. It's easier for white to play. Like, the way I think about a position like this is if you have two people similar in strengths, and say one is slightly stronger than the other, that person will always win with the white pieces. Did I say that right? Yeah, the slightly stronger one will always win with the white pieces, but he will not always win with the black pieces. I hope that makes sense. Just because the flow is more natural, it's just easier, in my opinion. But knight c4, do you move the queen? No, you give a check first. They have to block with the bishop, and then you move your queen, and you bring it into the position. So you're exploiting the pin. Good stuff. This pawn cannot be pushed just yet. White does indeed castle. And we get bishop to a6. Now, I was quite proud. When I was looking at this game, as you could see, white is better now, and I felt that white was better. See, it's not easy. Even black is a 2700, and he picked the wrong plan. I did find the refutation to bishop a6. I would like you to pause and try to find it yourself. Why is white slightly better? There's only one right answer. Well, you would love to move this knight, but you would not love to get checkmated, I hope. So you should go g3. Weird move. Light scored holes, you're not fiend ketoed, but you're chilling. The queen will come back, and then the move is knight h4. So this is the refutation. You stop the checkmate, you aim in at the knight's got to move, and you're chilling, and you have a passer. So, hopefully you guys found the quote-unquote refutation. White did not. He went b3. Now I would rather be black, because black's pieces are fully developed and fully coordinated. Again, g3 is the only move for equality, but white blunders with rook e1. Now I want you guys to find the 4-move win that black found in this position. This is a great puzzle. It's a great position, because it's not so obvious. Try to find it. The first move is bishop takes, so try to visualize it. Okay, bishop takes, what now? Rook takes, queen takes, find the last move. Do you need it on the board? We can put it on the board, right? Who's to stop us from putting it on the board? Knight d to e5. That's right, knight d to e5. Because you're threatening to take this with check and then take on h2. So they have to move the knight. They take. Now you don't take the knight back, you take on h2 with check. Did you see it? It's like a deflection tactic. King f1, rook e8, okay, pinning. That is the best way. And now it's just smooth sailing for black. You get pawn to f4, you take the pawn with check. Either they're going to get mated or they're going to sack their queen. Don't get back rank checkmated. You can either go king f8 or g5. I like g5. That is the aggressive version going on to the dark squares. And I'll just kind of run through these moves. We get check, check. Mostly it's just oddly satisfying now. Black trades the bishop for the knight. Okay, you could take this guy, but look. Guy just turns into Pac-Man. Check, check, takes, takes, takes. You're picking up quite literally the whole house. And in this position, white resigns because he's pinned. You're going to make another queen. So pretty simple game, but I just want to know, do you guys think it was prep or a blunder? I mean, surely David Navarro was like, oh, this guy can't go e4 because I take on d5. But then he saw e4 and he didn't take on d5. So I would love to know what happens there, to be honest. Interesting dynamic. But puzzle time, knight endgame, win for white. How do you win for white? Well, that's for you to figure out. Pause the video. All right. So you cannot push the pawn because then they stop the pawn. And they have a passer. You have a passer that's not passing, so it's barely a passer. And if take, so you can't do that. Don't be too hasty. You might be like, oh, I'm a genius. Knight takes d6. Bar disagrees. I didn't disagree. That's not me disagreeing. That's the bar. Why does this not work? It looks like it works. Well, it doesn't work because of knight to g4, right? Take here. Black is stopping everything, and he is still in the box of that queenside pawn. So you actually take the base of the pawn chain. What's the difference, you might ask? Well, black is out of time. c5. See, it's the same idea, but they're not quick enough because now this comes with check. And this is like those floating squares. That's a floating rectangle with a favorable dimension. So takes, push, you promote. And there's just nothing they could do. If takes, what do? Well, you push. It's the same thing. If here, here, back, here, take, promote. And if take, promote. So a simple, not simple, but a calm endgame, I would say. Thank you guys as always for watching. Hope you enjoyed. What do you think? Blunder or novelty? The world may never know. Have a good day, guys. Get out of here. Peace. Boom.